The mysterious disappearance. In the quiet town of Willowbrook, there was a sense of peace that most residents cherished. The streets were lined with trees, and the sun seemed to shine just a little brighter here. But one morning, that tranquility was disturbed when the town's beloved librarian, Miss Eleanor Hughes, did not arrive at work. Miss Hughes, an elderly woman with a gentle smile, had been the heart of the town's library for decades. She knew every book, every corner of the cozy space, and most importantly, every face that came to the library. It was unusual for her to miss a day of work, so when she didn't appear, a few concerned townsfolk decided to check on her. Mrs. Adams, her next-door neighbor, was the first to arrive. She knocked gently on the door, calling Miss Hughes's name. After a few moments of silence, she turned the doorknob and found the door slightly ajar. Inside, the house was quiet. The warm smell of herbal tea lingered in the air, but there was no sign of Miss Hughes. The police were soon called, though there wasn't much for them to find at first. There were no signs of a struggle, and nothing appeared to be missing. Miss Hughes's coat was still hanging by the door, her knitting abandoned halfway through a row on the couch. Her favorite book, a mystery novel, was left open on the coffee table, as though she had been interrupted mid-read. Detective Sarah Jennings, a newcomer to Willowbrook, was assigned to the case. She had only been in town for a few months, but she had already heard much about Miss Hughes's kindness and the library's importance to the community. Jennings began her investigation by speaking to everyone who knew the librarian. Most people described her as a quiet woman who loved to spend her afternoons reading. But a few mentioned something unusual. Miss Hughes had recently received a series of strange letters. The letters were written in elegant handwriting, but their contents were cryptic, and they seemed to arrive without any return address. Some were even addressed to the Keeper of Secrets. Miss Hughes had mentioned them to a few close friends, but dismissed them as harmless, perhaps even a bit eccentric. As Detective Jennings dug deeper, she uncovered a surprising connection. Miss Hughes had once been a historian in a distant city, known for her research on local folklore. One of the letters had mentioned an old story, a hidden treasure lost centuries ago, and referred to Miss Hughes as the keeper of the key. The detective pieced together that Miss Hughes's disappearance wasn't random. She had likely discovered something hidden in the town's history, something important enough to provoke interest. After weeks of careful investigation and a few more cryptic clues, the detective found that the key, mentioned in the letters, was actually an old book, one that Miss Hughes had been studying in secret. The book contained maps and riddles that led to an ancient hiding place, long forgotten by most,